कालीकूर्च समायुक्त मायाकूडोपदेशतः प्रणवार्तप्रबोधिन्यौ नमामि गुरुपादुके श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः क्रीं मात्रे नमः नमः सदसे Namaskarams to one and all. After a very long time, almost 4 weeks, we are coming back. Nothing happened in the middle. I did not get COVID. I was not purchased. Neither was I threatened. I was just a little bit busy with my official work. And another channel that I am just starting up. As discussed before in some of my previous videos, this new channel called Dharma Daily, I'll be giving the link in the description, is created for the purpose of uploading songs, bhajans, shlokas, mantras and puja guidance from various experts in the field. We have started off with some bhajans, shlokas and some puja guidance given by our very own Vishnudatta Swami, whom you might have seen in some of the traditional treatment videos. So he is a beautiful singer actually. You can go and view the shlokas that I have uploaded there. So that work was also there. Based on these things, I was a little bit busy with multiple things, so I'm continuing on, and we are continuing with none other than the persecution area, that is the persecution document of Nityananda. So I think there are a couple of developments in the middle that happened. One was I think one Mrs. Ranjita's video was uploaded by them and then taken down. I will give my comments on that towards the end of the video. So now we will continue with the same document that we were reading. The name of the document is The Persecution of Nityananda, whatever title they have given. Hindu Holocaust, Crimes Against Humanity. So 10 years of propaganda. In that document, now they are giving an introduction to who is Nityananda. And as I told you before, wherever honorific titles, fake honorific titles are coming, I will be simply using the word Rajashekar or Nityananda instead of using that title. Other than that, I am going to read the document true to the content of the document, and I will give my views on it as usual. So, His Divine Holiness was born in a small temple town called Tiruvannamalai in South India, where he spent his childhood. 2 photos are given there. I really doubt if it is his photo. I will be doing a little bit of Google search for that, and soon I will try to find out. He was recognized as an avatar incarnation and raised by a group of spiritual leaders of the place belonging to the Hindu ethnic minority called Adi Shaivite. Now this is a very big lie, because there is no Hindu ethnic minority called Adi Shaivites to start with. There are a group of people who call themselves Adi Shaivas, but this group is actually a controversial ideologist group, not an ethnic group, ideologist group, whom even the Shaivite community, especially inside Tamil Nadu, most of the Adinakartas and most of the heads of the Shaivite institutions do not accept or do not agree with these people. I have already given the background history of how this came to be. What does this term Adi Shaivite in this particular context, in this particular time, in this particular current scenario, what does it mean? What is the meaning that they are using here? I have given you that explanation, but once again I will recap on that, because it's been a long time and I don't think it will be very mannerful on my part to ask you to go back to the video and watch what I have already told. So it is very simple. The Shaivite Siddhanta is Advaita. Now Ramanuja came and he created the Dvaita or Vishishtadvaita along with Vaishnavism. Another branch of Vaishnavism went ahead and created the Dvaita Siddhanta by Madhvacharya, Vallabhacharya and others. Now the existing Saiva Siddhanta, which is Advaitic, was interpreted with Shiva as the supreme deity. So this so-called Saiva Siddhanta has two parts to it. One is the Trika school of Kashmir Saivism, and another one is the South Indian, especially Tamil school of so-called Adi Saivism. Now, when this was done, the Advaita aspect of Saivism was actually lost. Once more, I have to explain myself here because it might be confusing if you are not very well used to these terms and definitions. So those who already understood, I apologize for over explaining. What happened actually is, in Visishtadvaita Siddhanta, there is no Kaivalya Mukti. There is no Kaivalya Mukti. Kaivalya Mukti means becoming one, absolutely one with the final deity. According to the ideology, I am not speaking about practices or everybody's opinion, but according to the ideology, technically there is no Kaivalya Mukti in Vishishtadvaita Siddhanta. But there is Kaivalya Mukti in Advaita Siddhanta, because Atma and Brahman are always eternally one and the same. There is no distinction at all according to Advaita. But this also leads to another problem, that is, you cannot give any qualities or attributes to that supreme Brahman in the Advaita as given by Shankara, in the Vedanta as given by Adi Shankaracharya. But these people, whoever was there, all the four Sanatana Kauravas, the four Sanatana gurus, Meykandar, Arulnandi Sivacharya, those people. So what they essentially did was, they took up the concepts of supreme godhood from Visishtadvaita and attributed them to Shiva, thereby creating a mix of Dvaita and Advaita, just like Vishishtadvaita, but making Shiva as the supreme deity. Now, this is called as Pasupati Pasham. All this is Saiva Siddhanta principle. So, when this principle was created, slowly the Advaitic concept of Saivism started to diminish. Then, when Appaya Dikshitar and the scholars of his time came ashore in the 1600s and all, what they essentially did was, they said this is wrong. Just because you want to do Murti worship, just because you want to do Bhakti, just because you want to do ritual worship, that does not mean you need to leave Advaita. You can maintain both Advaita as well as Shiva worship, and they created this. There is a very beautiful book, very small book, that is actually a lecture. The name of the book is Compromises in the History of Advaitic Thought, written by Kuppuswamy Shastrigal, the founder and first principal of Sanskrit College Madras, Mylapore. So that book is available, very small book. In that book, Kuppuswamy Shastri is explaining how the compromise between the Advaita, which almost became Vishishta Advaita or Dvaita Advaita, was brought back to Saivite lore. And after this Saivite lore was brought back into the fold of Advaita, into the fold of the actual Advaita as interpreted by, as given by Adi Shankara, almost all the Saivite Adinams in Tamil Nadu started to create works according to this concept. Works like Kaivalya Navanidam and then Shivaprakasa Swamigal, Karunai Prakasa Swamigal, they maintained both the supreme godhood of Shiva as well as the attributeless Brahman, wherein they stated there is Sivam and then there is Sivan. Sivam is attributeless, Sivan is with attribute. Like that they made they created an ideological understanding. So, but one group of people who wanted to maintain a separate identity from Sanskrit, who wanted to maintain a separate Tamil identity, those kind of separatists, they started saying, Actually, we don't even want Advaita, we don't even want the Vedas, we are the Adishaivas which existed even before this. So much of corruption, so much of fakery was created out of this scenario. You cannot imagine. You cannot imagine how much fake documents have come out of this scenario. Everything from the so-called Pranava Veda, which was the first Veda, and so the second Veda is the Rig Veda. All this nonsense happened. So here he is trying to say that those who brought him up were actually the ethnic minority called Adishaiva. Where does this ethnic minority of Adishaiva come from? What is their ethnicity? That is my question. If we probe a little bit deep into this discourse, it can only go and end up in one place, wherein they will say the Adishaiva ethnicity is Dravidian ethnicity. Now, there is nothing called Dravidian ethnicity. That is only a linguistic group based on the location. You can say whatever you want, but currently today, in the existing gene pool of India, there is no ethnicity which is separate Tamil. Even if that is to be accepted on one level, okay, even if we say we will forget whatever we said about it, we will agree that it is existing. There is no way in which you can bring the Adishaivit community into this as an ethnic group in any sense of the word. So that is a blatant lie that he is saying here. Spiritual leaders of people belonging to the Hindu ethnic minority. This is serious bullshit that he is trying to pull here. His spiritual leadership potential was recognized by the gurus of the community. From the age of 3 years of his community started training him for his future responsibilities. His ascension to the throne of several ancient religious monasteries of the community was pre-decided by the leaders. Now, tell me what sort of a tradition is this? That is, each organization was established for more than a minimum of 500 to 600 years. Each of the organizations, each of the monasteries that they are speaking about here, they have been in existence for 600-700 years. And each of these organizations have their own separate land holdings. They have their own separate trusts, temples, everything. Who will want to combine all these things together? None of the Adinams in Tamil Nadu, I am telling you, including the Tondamandala Adinam, will agree that they are going to come together. So, his claim to so many Adinams as the Adinam, this Adinam, that Adinam, this Mandala Adinam, that Mandala Adinam, all those things did not exist at the start of his spiritual career. They did not exist at the start of his spiritual career. All of these titles came into existence only in the past 5 years. Before that, no such title, no such claim to any title, or not even an idea, or not even the story that he was related to these titles was brought in. He tried doing something in Madurai Adinam, it did not work out, so he started capturing other small Adinams which did not have that much of a strong following, that much of a strong support structure as Madurai Adinam. Now he is trying to do the same thing with Tondamandala Adinam. So, like this, he is going and capturing small Adinams, and they are not even actually Adinams. They are something like sub Adinam of a bigger Adinam, which is not actually taking care of them right now due to financial and communal reasons. Okay, we will not go into that explanation now. But let us just understand, there are many smaller Adinams which come under the larger Adinams, but they are not being taken care of right now. So Nityananda has gone and given some money, did something inside, sent out the existing people, became a trustee, appointed his own trustees, and now he is calling himself as the Adinam of those places. But here in this document, he is saying it was pre-decided by the people who brought him up, because he was an incarnation. What kind of a lie is this? This is a lie which is retroactive in nature. For example, I am going and stealing something from somebody's house. I am bringing and I am stealing from everybody's house, and I am coming and I am keeping it. And then I am saying, well, I stole from house A, house B, house C. the grandfather of the house A, grandfather of the house B, and grandfather of the house C, who are not alive right now, they actually appointed me as the heir to this property. So I am not stealing, I am only taking what is rightfully mine. So this is the sort of the discourse that is being given here. That is, whatever titles he is claiming illegally right now, illegitimately, without even having the basic knowledge of what it is required to be an Adinam, to even be a Pandaram inside an Adinam, to even enter as a learner inside the Adinam, he does not have those qualifications. I can openly challenge him on this. And he was challenged on this openly in Madurai. He never responded. He never responded to the challenge in a proper manner. He simply started, asking who is the fellow who is asking the question. Is he that much famous of a person? Whoever that is, even if that is the last devotee of that Adinam, you are answerable to him if you are sitting as the Ilaya Adinam there. But he did not answer. In his own style, he simply dodged the question and made a mockery out of it. But that itself is the proof that he does not have the capability to technically prove that he is qualified to sit inside any Adinam. But he is capturing all these Adinams using his money and using his fame and political power, of whatever political power is remaining right now. So he is trying to capture these Adinams. But now he is saying he was pre-decided as the leader of these organizations even from his childhood by the leaders of those organizations. Which leaders are you speaking about? Who are all the Adinams who came together to Tiruvannamalai to bring you up? The existing sannyasis of Tiruvannamalai, whomever you associated with, Raghupati Yogi, this person, that person, Arunagiri Yogi, and that lady Kuppammal, all these people you associated with, you are now saying they are spiritual leaders of the Adishaivite community. This is absolutely a blatant, bold-faced lie and nothing else. Moving on. So spiritual leaders performed tests to recognize the avatar. His spiritual leadership potential was recognized by leaders of community, performed some tests on the young children to recognize the next spiritual leader. As an infant, he was tested to choose amongst various objects. Amongst these highly spiritual sacred items like Rudraksha, amongst various precious stone jewelry items, he seemed to pick only the sacred items like Rudraksha. This is absolute nonsense. This is not a spirituality test. There is a program and there is an event that happens in most of the Tamil homes. It is called as Palkozhakattai Vizha. It is a teething ceremony. When the child is getting teeth, this ceremony will happen. In that ceremony, there are various different methods in which it is being performed in different traditions and different communities. But one common element is that they will keep money, they will keep sweet, they will keep books. It is just like a funny thing that they do with the child. That really does not mean anything. And they will also keep Rudraksha, they will keep everything. So what the child is choosing, they will simply see. That's all. In olden times, when the child chose something very meaningful, it was meaningful because the nature of the child is what it will grow into. Now all of this has become just a simple fun ceremony for everybody, every household. It is not a sacred test that is conducted by any spiritual leaders. This Palkozhakattai Vizha even happened for me. I chose some books. Funnily enough, I did not even choose the book that was kept in front of me. I went and chose it from somewhere else. So what does that make me? Am I a spiritual leader or what am I? So that is simply something which happens in all households. It is not a spiritual test. And him choosing the Rudraksha, okay, cool, nice incident. There is nothing more to say about it. But 100% it is nothing to do with spiritual testing. It does not mean he is going to become a spiritual leader. That kind of tradition does not exist anywhere. And now he is stealing from the Lama lore. That is this Tibetan monastery lore. That is selecting a spiritual leader when he is very young. That bullshit. That actually is not a tradition anywhere. None of the Adinams will choose their next leader from young children. They are waiting for students who are studying the Agamas, who are studying the Tirumarais, not even the Agamas, the Tirumarais, to train themselves, then dedicate themselves full time, either going into a family life and coming out or directly dedicating themselves full time. And once they dedicate themselves full time, there is a whole process of Adaikala Pandaram, Vodka Pandaram, all these things are there before a spiritual leader can be chosen. That is a well established systems, and as I told you before, none of the Adinams today will come forward to merge everything together to make one spiritual leader. There is no requirement for that, because each Adinam specifically is meant for one particular community. Why should they come together? What is the necessity for them? When they are being appointed specifically, they have created specifically, it is in their charter specifically to lead one community. Why should they come together? That is my whole question. That being stated. So, like Rudraksha, sacred items like Rudraksha. So, not even, clean this thing. Recognized as an incarnation from the childhood. His Nityananda was born on January 1st, 1978. Bullshit again. There is so much, this has been spoken to death. His date of birth has been spoken to death. In the year 1978, pilgrim in the state of Tamil Nadu, the mountain was personified Arunachala, okay, living deity of Arunachaleshwara and the living guru through successive unbroken lineage of enlightened beings, okay, was foreseen by his predecessors. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi described his next two incarnation successors. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi December 30th has declared Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar as a successor avatar, whose happening Bhagavan has described as a saint with a fan. When Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi was asked who would come after Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, a laughing boy sitting under a banyan tree. Now, I really do not know where the hell they are taking these quotations from. I really do not know. Because this is something which they are stating in order to access, probably in order to access the properties and the assets of Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar Ashram and even Ramanashram. Atrocious claims. I will make a separate video on this note. In identified as successor, His Divine Holiness Yogi Ram Sarat Kumar, December 1st, 1918 to February 20th, 2001. Now, that is something. Yeah, okay. This is the context why it is wrong. I will tell you how it is wrong. So, Master Mataji Vibhutanandapuri, Yoganandapuri, Isaki Swamigal were enlightened sages of Tiruvannamalai who recognized Nityananda as an avatar and trained him. Referring to Nityananda, his guru Yoganandapuri said, I know you are an avatara Purusha and I want to be the first person to do Pada Puja to you. Now, this is the problem. A guru doing Pada Puja to the disciple. All of this sounds very, very whimsical and overrated, and that is exactly what makes me think this is fiction. Because, practically speaking, even if Nityananda is recognized as an avatar, he should neither allow nor the guru should say that he is going to perform Pada Puja. Okay, and this is sheer bullshit, is all I can say. Then, there is another claim here. The Sai Baba claim already there is a lot of debunking done. Okay, so learning great temples, yeah. His spiritual training by the leaders of the community. The spiritual leaders of community recognized his potential as a spiritual leader. Nityananda experientially learned the complete Vedic education through his spiritual masters and mentors. His places of learning where the great temples of knowledge system came alive and applied sciences. He lived in the temple of Sri Arunachaleshwara and several other temples where his spiritual masters tested him and trained him, transmitted ancient knowledge to him, uncompromisingly preparing his physiology, psychology, neurology at not levels, not just to be an adept but to be the next spiritual leader. His training by spiritual leaders of the community continued till the age of 25. During that time, he stayed in Arunachaleshwara temple, various other temple monasteries within India. He lived most of his early lives in various temples and monasteries, occasionally visited his parents. Now this whole nonsense about all persons of Tamil Nadu coming together and training him, what did he get trained in? That is the only question I am asking. I have not seen him do yogasanas. Any of the people that I have spoken to from the organization, and I have spoken to quite a lot of people who have been with him at the starting period, middle period, ending period, all of the people I have spoken, nobody has seen him do yogasana. We don't even know if he does know how to do yoga. Veda, pathetic. His Sanskrit pronunciation is pathetic. Nobody listening to his Sanskrit will say he has learnt the Vedas. 100% there is nothing. Neither the Vedas nor the Agamas or the Vedagama, some nonsense that he himself has invented, nothing shows when he is reading Sanskrit. Not even by hearting and saying, just reading. He is a lazy asshole, everybody knows that. So that is a absolutely misled and absolutely misleading and misinforming claim that he was ever trained in any scriptures. Then one might argue that scriptures do not matter, he was only given direct knowledge. How can you say this? If you say scriptures do not matter, only direct knowledge matters, then the whole concept of Shastra Pramana goes out of the window. He is banking on that so much when he is speaking in his Pramana Paddhati. Nityananda disciples are very proudly saying that we are based on Shastra Pramana, we are using the Shastras, then why is scripture not important to you when you don't want it to be important to you? You cannot call the shots as and how you want it, and that is called as bullshit if you do it. That is exactly what I am saying. So his so-called spiritual training actually did not happen, and I will tell you how I can assert it did not happen. He studied in a polytechnic college, and there is a funny reason that they are going to give, very funny reason that they are going to give for him joining in diploma in mechanical engineering to learn English. We will come to that portion. It is very, very funny. Probably in the next video we will come to that portion. Okay, but you have to study till 10th standard formal education if you want to join even a polytechnic college in Tamil Nadu. He actually went to school like you and me. He actually went to school. Probably he was roaming around in the Tiruvannamalai area in his free time and during his vacation and other things. He might have met some gurus. Possibility is there. But as far as I am concerned, he is a spiritually inclined person. He might have been a boy who was interested in spirituality, and he lived an otherwise normal life. That is all there is to it. It is not like he was sent to some kind of airbender training or some kind of avatar training wherein he was given all these sorts of mystical powers, all the gurus coming together and doing some Shaktiman stuff. That did not happen. All this whimsical fantasies that these people are generating around him in this document are absolutely fake, just based on the fact that he had a formal school education itself. But we will further explore into it. We have already debunked so many things that he does not know. He is piss poor pathetic. He is piss poor pathetic in all the scriptures that he is handling, probably except Bhagavad Gita, which he might have learned inside the Ramakrishna Mutt in his brief stay, or he might have gotten some very good material, his hands on some very good material from which he is simply paraphrasing. Either way, apart from his Bhagavad Gita sermons at the very early starting period of his spirituality, all the other sermons are gross misinterpretations based out of absolute misunderstanding and ignorance of the scriptures. Even a person who was brought up in a normal spiritual training, learning from very normal masters, no need for an enlightenment crash course or no need for a special avatar upbringing, nothing is required. Just a normal person who has studied the Shastras traditionally will not make the stupid mistakes that he is making. So that is very clear. He did not have any sort of specialized spiritual education, and they are simply making this up to make him sound like something which he is not. That is the whole purpose of the document. We will continue to explore the fakeries of this document in the upcoming videos. And also, once again, just to remind you, there is another channel called Dharma Daily which I have started, and that channel is purely dedicated for uploading lost music, lost Carnatic music songs, and bhajans and shlokas and other things which are not as controversial. It is aimed at a more generic viewing audience for the purpose of spiritual upliftment and for the purpose of usage in spirituality. So please support that channel as well. That being stated, I will once again say I am sorry for the long gap that I took. I will not continue to do that. you will be able to see regular posts from me moving forward, both on Nityananda and all the other series which has been temporarily halted, like Tattobodha, Panchali Sabadam, all these things which have been temporarily halted. We will continue with that. So thank you so much for patiently waiting for 3 or 4 weeks without any videos, and please continue supporting. दच्चं योरा व्रणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय घातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तुनः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपते सञ्चतुष्पते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. A very happy Guru Purnima wishes to one and all. May the real, ethnic and true Guru's grace, genuine Guru grace be upon you. Thank you so much.